right, so today, we're diving into a story that captivated the world, the miracle on the Hudson. I mean, everyone's heard the basic story.
It's one of those events that just sticks with you.
Absolutely. But we're going beyond the headlines here.
Right, because there's so much more to uncover.
Exactly. What really went down that day? What can we learn from it? It all started out as just another routine flight, right? January 15th, 2009.
U.S. Airways Flight 1549.
From LaGuardia to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Captain Sully Sullenberger, seasoned pilot. Passengers probably thinking about their in-flight snacks.
And then, just 3 minutes after takeoff, everything changes. They're at 3,000 feet.
Yeah.
And they hit a flock of Canadian geese.
You know, you hear about bird strikes, but you never.
It's one of those things, yeah, more common than you'd think, statistically speaking. But rarely with consequences this severe. Both engines on Flight 1549 completely gone.
Just like that.
Just like that. Imagine that. The roar of those engines. Silence.
I can't even fathom. How do you even begin to react in that scenario?
You've got seconds, literally seconds, to make a life or death decision.
And that's where the training kicks in, I guess.
You would hope. But this situation, it tested the limits of even the most comprehensive training. Because standard procedure, it just didn't account for something this extreme.
So what would procedure usually tell you to do?
Well, normally you'd try to return to the airport or find another one nearby, but they were losing altitude fast. No engines, those precious seconds ticking away.
Which brings us to Sully's incredible decision to land the plane on the Hudson River.
I mean, how do you even process that option? That's the mark of a true pilot. Sully's intuition, his experience all those years in the air. But what's remarkable is his composure. This guy is talking to air traffic control, just calmly saying they'll be in the Hudson.
Not declaring an emergency, nothing. Just, we're going to be in the Hudson.
Focus. That's what it was. Pure focus.
I can't even imagine what's going through the passengers' minds at this point. I mean, they must have felt the impact.
Oh, absolutely. And then the engines going quiet, the fear, the uncertainty.
It's unthinkable.
This is when the flight attendants, they become absolutely vital.
Keeping everyone calm.
More than that, even. They're not just following procedures, they're guiding people through the unimaginable, prepping them for a landing they never could have anticipated.
Talk about grace under pressure. Those flight attendants, what heroes.
Right. It really highlights this idea of distributed heroism.
Distributed heroism.
It's not always about one single hero, you know. Often it's the collective effort, all these individual actions, big and small, that make the difference.
So true. And speaking of which, I was surprised to learn that the landing itself, they described it as a calm, soft splash.
Right. You don't automatically picture that when you hear plane landing on water. But Sully, this is where his skill becomes even more evident.
I mean, it's not just aiming for the river, right?
Not at all. We're talking precise calculations, understanding how the plane reacts to the water, speed, angle of impact. It's incredible.
Especially in January in New York.
Mm-hmm.
That water must have been freezing.
Absolutely a concern. Hypothermia was a very real danger, which is why those rescue crews, they were so crucial. Ferries, boats, Coast Guard, everyone just sprang into action.
Those images, the passengers standing on the wings waiting for rescue.
Iconic images. And again, back to that team effort. Sully may have gotten them down, but those rescuers, they were ready. They got everyone out quickly and safely.
It really is a powerful story, this amazing rescue, this collective spirit. But after everything settled, there was an investigation, right? I can only imagine how intense that must have been, even with a happy ending.
Oh, absolutely. And here's something interesting. The initial simulations, they suggested that Sully might have been able to make it back to LaGuardia.
Really? So then what? They thought he made the wrong call?
Well, it raised questions. It put a lot of scrutiny on his decision-making.
After everything he did, that's tough.
It just goes to show, even with all our technology,
There are limits.
those early simulations, they were advanced, sure, but they couldn't fully grasp the reality of that cockpit,
What do you mean?
the human element. They couldn't account for the time it takes to process, to make a judgment call with that kind of pressure, human factors.
So it wasn't just, could the plane physically make it back to LaGuardia?
Right.
It was, could Sully, with only those few seconds,
Exactly.
make that decision?
Make that call in time.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting?
What's that?
When they adjusted those simulations,
Okay.
factored in all those real-time
The
conditions,
human element.
the human element, they found that, yeah, Sully's assessment was spot on.
Wow.
Landing in the Hudson, that was the only way.
It makes you think.
It really does.
All our technology.
Remember-
And still,
still comes down to human judge instinct in those crucial moments.
Absolutely. And you know what else strikes me about this whole thing is how Sully,
What's that?
how he handled everything afterward.
Oh, yeah.
The attention, I mean, talk about a media frenzy.
Right.
And he just
Never
sought the spotlight.
made it about himself.
Always deflecting credit.
Oh,
Giving it to the crew.
the first responders.
Everyone
Everybody.
played a role. He knew that.
Exactly. He really emphasized that.
He did.
The miracle on the Hudson.
Right?
It wasn't just him.
Not at all.
It was everyone
It was a team.
working together.
A collective effort.
And that's an important reminder, isn't it?
It is.
Because we love the lone hero narrative.
We do.
But so often,
It's the team.
group effort
Absolutely.
that makes all the difference. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And of course, we can't talk about the Miracle on the Hudson without mentioning
The movie,
the movie Sully.
Clint Eastwood, Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Hollywood's take on it.
Right, and you know how those go sometimes.
They take liberties.
They do, but I think Sully,
It captured the essence of it.
yeah, the tension, the heroism,
And the fact that Sully himself
that he approved of it,
says a lot.
speaks volumes.
If he felt it was true to his experience,
Yeah,
that carries weight.
it does.
And you have to admit, Tom Hanks is Sully.
Oh, incredible.
Perfect casting.
He embodies that calm,
That quiet strength.
that sense of responsibility.
I always think about that line.
Which one?
We're going to be in the Hudson.
Chills.
Delivered perfectly.
Every time.
It's become iconic, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And I think that speaks to the power of this story.
It does.
It's more than just a plane landing.
It is.
It's about a human resilience,
Facing the unimaginable.
overcoming the odds,
And coming out stronger.
the importance of expertise,
Of quick thinking.
a clear communication,
Teamwork.
all these things
Vital.
in those moments of crisis.
They are.
And as we wrap up our deep dive today, it's a
Right.
good reminder
What's that?
that we all have a role to play in those moments.
We do.
Whether it's taking charge,
For offering support,
staying calm,
being there for others.
because life,
It throws curveballs.
it does.
Unexpected turbulence.
That's how we respond.
how we face those challenges.
That defines us.
That shows our true character.
And that's what the Miracle on the Hudson reminds us.
We can overcome anything.